A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away. Greetings and welcome to May the Panel Be With You, the Star Wars comic book show brought to you by the Punch-Up Entertainment Network. I'm your humble host, Mike Ergoni, and joining me as always, the Drebble or Drebs to his friends, to my Admiral Tower, it's John Campbell.
Yo, dog, you gotta call me Drebs. Yes. Unfortunately, we'll get to how I read in my head how Lando is talking later in this comic, and it was very much what I just did.
That is on you for having Ice-T living rent-free in your head.
Yo, man, come on. Look, you watch 27 seasons of SVU, and that's what happens.
I'm not denying this fact.
Sweetest gig I'll ever have. I'll never leave. Yes.
Between that and being in really crappy remakes on Amazon.
Yep. No, that was Ice Cube. You've confused them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
You've confused your ice-based 90s rappers.
Ice-T is reading fantasy audiobooks. Got it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world.
Apologies.
At that point, the orcs attacked.
But yes, we are talking about Marvel Star Wars. Aren't we always? It seems like we're never... Eventually, we'll be done with this, and boy, what a day that will be. But for now, we endure.
Yeah, because, I mean, we know it goes past... how many issues is it exactly? Is it like
102, 103, depending on how we count it.
Okay, so we're getting there.
We're getting there. But we are covering issue number 75.
Yes.
And this was originally released in September of 1983. We've got a creative team that will be oh so familiar to us at this point. Strap in, they're here for the long haul. It's Joe Duffy on writing, Ron Friends on pencils, Tom Palmer on inks, Glennis Ween, eventually Oliver on colors, Joe Rosen on letters. We got a Jim Shooter as our editor-in-chief, and we have got a Louise, eventually Simonson, as our regular old editor.
Yes. It's the well, I was going to say the dream team. It's the normal team.
It is this book is probably making us money, so we should put somebody on it team.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked, this whole thing has always felt like, even though it's still making money, Star Wars is not yet the cultural staple that it's become. I mean, it's certainly hot, but you keep in mind, at this moment, it's the current thing that's hot. It's not yet shown that it has legs to last as an iconic thing yet.
Right. I mean, look, we'll hit our fallow period of like the late 80s and 90s of this, like, everyone was like, remember that thing, Star Wars? That happened once.
Y'all remember Star Wars? You remember that Star War?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I mean, then that's, of course, as we often talk about, is the era we grew up in, where it was like, Star Wars, those were good. Anyway. It's very weird to think about.
But speaking of middling Star Wars, let's bring us to this cover here as we get our, I don't know, this is like a frame from Psycho, I guess?
Yeah, it's very like 70s slasher movie vibes for sure.
Because lest we forget, last issue we set up this whole premise on being in an underwater place that then exploded.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with the aftermath of that in this issue. And so our cover here is, I think this is Leia looking wide-eyed through her breathing mask at some figure ascending at her with a knife, presumably underwater.
Upon just quick look at this, due to the hair of this guy, I'm like, is there going to be an evil Luke Skywalker in this issue?
That was my first thought as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. I was like, Luke's going to get like corrupted by some kind of underwater thing? Because, man, you can't have a guy with hair like this on a Star Wars cover and not think, hey, I think that might be Luke.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And it's normally you'd be able to differentiate. It's like, that guy's arms are way too jacked to be Luke Skywalker. But unfortunately, comic book Luke is super jacked.
Comic book and action figure Luke, as we talked about, was very jacked.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it really does set up a tone that that aside from maybe a couple pages, this does not have of like, oh God.
Well, there's a little bit of oh God, but for different reasons, and we'll get into that.
Not for like, this looks like Luke and Leia trapped with an underwater serial killer.
Right.
Which is really not the vibe of this thing.
Really, where they're trapped is just underwater, which is bad enough.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah, man.
we open on the Poseidon adventure.
Gurgani, there's got to be a morning after. There's got to be a morning after.
For all you out there with those Poseidon adventure references. I could have referenced a more culturally significant boat sinking movie, but I chose not to.
Well, you know who you're doing a podcast with, too. So who's going to be talking about 70s disaster movies? But yes, that, of course, for those under 60, that's the title track, because this was back in the days when you had to have a theme song to accompany a movie.
Always.
There's got to be a morning after, was the theme to the Poseidon Adventure. Where a movie about a cruise ship that gets hit by a wave and turns upside down, and they have to crawl up through to the bottom of the ship. See, because it's upside down.
Yeah.
Good movie.
But here we have Luke, Leia, and let's not forget everyone's most important character, Kendall. Brought to you by Amazon.
I do like this one. Yeah. The Amazon Kendall. I do like that Luke is like, Leia and Kendall, look out. You too. Some kind of explosion is rupturing the tank.
Because, lest we forget, our heroes are in an underwater city here.
I will say, trying to follow what's happening here is a little bit like, because it looks like there's a waterfall coming down on them. So I guess the idea is it ruptured the top of the, because they're in a tube, right?
Or they were in some building, because remember, the whole reason they're in here is because they saw from outside Kendall having had her water mask smashed and she was suffocating in the open air. Yes. So they rushed inside. Then a genocide were committed.
Yeah, that's right. The genocide button was pushed.
Yes. And then the shockwave of that broke the windows of this place, and now we're here.
Yep. Here we are, folks.
So, water's rushing in, Luke and Leia are panicking. I will say, these are some pretty dynamic panels. Like, obviously, they're trying... You can't really tell what's going on, but I think that's on purpose, because it's a lot of the characters not being able to tell what's going on as well.
I also gotta say, like, the water looks good, the way that it's the motion of it and stuff like that. It does feel like it's bombarding them with these walls of water that are moving fast. I think since we've had Ron Frenz and Tom Palmer kind of, trading off the layouts and the inks there, I think the art has been pretty consistent, if not like amazing all the time. It's been pretty consistent in a way that we were. Some of the previous artists we've had in the book have just been all over the place.
How long has it been since we've had a weird Luke face?
Yeah, that's the thing, is like it does feel like things like character models and designs are pretty well established at this point. And so like it does read a lot easier than it was with some of our past artists that were either that I always, once again, because they were talented artists, always blame on scheduling, I think. It's just always felt like they got rushed on stuff.
Sure. So we've got Luke and Leia getting battered around by the water. They're trying to hang on to each other and doing an okay job. And then we get a bit of a recap page here. I will say the fact that this book doesn't give us any kind of recap until 3 pages in, we're getting into modern storytelling here, John.
The other thing, I'm very glad no one is telling this recap to people who would already know the information.
Yeah. No, this is some good comic booking here.
This is I mean, I do think Duffy's writing is much more, it feels like the next generation of comics, right? Like,
sure.
In the, not quite to the level of a Frank Miller, but like in that vein of guys like Miller and Simonson and stuff, and the thing where it is like trusting the readers a little bit more instead of the old Stan Lee approach of just filling pages with words, or even, my God, dear God, Claremont.
Well,
as
and
much as I love it.
I mean, but the mirror to Claremont, especially in this era coming up, is someone who's actually on this book, and that's Louise Simonson, right?
Yes. Yep.
And her writing obviously was huge for books like X Factor, and I think was she doing Power Pack? I'm blanking, but
yeah, she did do Power Pack, but X Force, New Mutants, like she ends up sort of being the number 2 X person.
Yeah,
and then also subsequently, what I grew up on, 90s Superman, she was a huge part of later on. Death of Superman and stuff. She's all involved in that stuff. So
totally.
but at this point,
for those who've forgotten, we're underwater.
Yeah, it's the planet Iskalon, a marine biosystem
that has just been hit by a powerful explosive missile, as opposed to those non-explosive missiles.
Those don't cause as much damage. I mean, they're still bad, but
that's fair.
This and by the way, the last issue really built up this being like a super missile,
and the fact that this city isn't even hit by it; it's just hit by the aftershock of it, and the amount of carnage we see later is just like, oh, I don't even know what ground zero of this thing looks like.
Yeah, and the other big thing, of course, with it is it's a missile that was able to fly from one planet to another, right? Like,
true.
Through space. It's weird because you don't see a lot of physical munitions like that in Star Wars. Everything is laser blasts or big laser cannons. The idea that they shot a projectile is very unusual for Star Wars.
It's an interplanetary ballistic missile.
Yeah. You got to watch out for those, man. I hear there's new petitions to get some proliferation on, anti-proliferation.
Oh, good. I'm sure the Empire would be totally down for that.
Yeah. Look, we're willing to talk, but we have demands.
But yeah, we get a slow zoom in on the planet's surface. We eventually get to the city of Pavilion, where we find our heroes. And then we zoom all the way down to the bottom of this trench where Luke and Leia are.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's bad news for our heroes.
And
not only are they trapped by water, but there's buckling wreckage, as Leia says.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Poseidon Adventure was a specific reference because that movie is all about like tumbling through water and broken ship.
Yep. It's a good movie. Once again, I state again, I really like the Poseidon Adventure. Like I said, stay away from Poseidon, the like mid-2000s remake. Do you like that story, but wish it had a lot more CGI? No. Yeah, so anyway, they and of course, and we'll get into this later, this also requires these two to cling to each other.
And we do. But remember how we were just lauding this comic for being conservative with its writing?
Yeah.
Let's stop doing that, because now Luke has some thoughts.
The amount of thinking, this is classic thing too, where you think about, once again, the amount of fully coherent paragraphs of thought he's having while being whipped around underwater, and is crazy.
If none of the thought bubbles were on this page, if it was just the characters as we see them here, I think it tells a coherent enough story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No question. It is Luke and Leia being pulled, Luke looking over at something, suddenly seeing that Leia's air tank is over there, swimming over to it, giving Leia the air tank. It's all the art completely tells the story. It's one of my biggest pet peeves and why I have trouble reading comics, let's say even pre-19, I don't know, like mid-80s even. Really, on a whole, is that they're just like, they never let the art just carry the story, and that feels like a disservice to a visual medium.
Yeah. And
I mean, writing is important, but also knowing when not to put words in, to me, especially now, is a huge part of being a modern comics writer.
For sure. I think that's what makes the medium sing so well, is that fusion of art and word, right? And some of the most powerful issues that you and I could mention off the top of our heads are ones with very minimal words.
I mean, the genius of the Matt Fraction, David Aja sign language issue of Hawkeye comes to mind immediately, right?
Sure. I was going to say the Walt Simonson Thor issue that's just him fighting Jormungandr, and every page is one panel.
I mean, and they do that again, speaking of Louis Simonson, on Death of Superman. The Death of Superman is a wordless fight between Superman and Doomsday.
Yeah.
And there's tons of stuff that does that. And like I said, and knowing when to dip out and dip in, and knowing what to, yeah. But there
it really
is
this era of comics that is starting to develop that language.
It's starting to, but what's interesting is even within this comic, you can see where it's doing it and where it's not. Like we talked about earlier, they did a good job, and then here you have him going, "Oh no, we're being pulled underwater. Wait, what's that? Leia's air tank? Why, if I could get to it, then okay, here, Leia." And then, okay, they're going to start communicating telepathically, which I know. Oh, yeah.
I more thought of it like they were this is going to sound weird, thinking past each other.
We're going to have to share the air, but you take the tanks. Oh, no, it is all him, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's weird that he's just communicating that?
He's just thinking about it. I don't think he's communicating. Again, if the thought bubbles weren't there, it would all be perfectly well communicated, of like him putting the air tank on her.
Oh, then it's just it's bad for different reasons.
Because we really don't get any thought bubbles from Leia until the next page.
Yeah, which are also unnecessary.
Yes.
Because on the next page, they both have the same thought of, it's Kendall.
Because, yes, they run back into Kendall, because lest we forget, Kendall is the wife of Monet, who is the son of the, leader of this planet.
Don't get too attached to him. The leader of the planet, I should say. But, this whole thing about, you're right, they're not communicating. It's just that he goes, he says it's Kendall, she thinks it's Kendall, then he thinks she seems to want us to follow her, and then Leia thinks she seems to know which way we should go. What?
Yeah, again, my assumption is that the writers in this era are getting paid by the word.
I agree. It does feel we don't have any. By the way, if anyone knows the answer to that, please write in. But because it really feels that way. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, is that that's the case. Because otherwise, what are you doing?
So yeah, they're following Kendall.
By that argument, was Claremont the highest paid writer in comics?
Why do you think he was so prolific?
I'm just saying, the amount of comics he wrote and then subsequent words in those comics. He bought a mansion with just that, Anyway, okay, so they're, and then all of a sudden they're stopped because there's an orange fish man who also just looks like Luke Skywalker. I like his little boots too.
Why are the underwater people wearing gloves and boots?
That's a excellent question. Shouldn't they have if anything, if they're wearing footwear, shouldn't they be more Flipper like?
The gloves maybe make sense because I don't know. Have you ever touched underwater rocks accidentally? They're way too sharp. Yeah.
You could have to grip something, but you certainly aren't walking with your feet on surfaces. So that's why I'm saying, if anything that would be on the foot, it would just be something to aid in swimming. It wouldn't be. The boots would actually slow you down.
Well, actually, what we eventually learned is that both of these characters were out in the open air prior to this happening. So maybe those are their walking around shoes.
Whatever. I don't know. But all of a sudden, there's a guy with a sword stick.
Yeah.
And he's back up. Back up.
He is menacing them in a hallway. Kendall flees, leaving Luke and Leia to face this adversary alone.
An interesting choice.
Yeah, and it sort of gives credence to what we eventually find out about what's happening between these two characters, but...
Oh, man, I don't know what to think about that.
We'll get to it when we get to it. Because meanwhile, let's go back to the world of Gamondar.
Elsewhere, Gamondar, which is the... it's not a sister, but they're in the same, orbit, right? Or whatever. They're
a sister planet.
They're neighboring planets, yeah.
I think they even use the term sister planet later in this issue. But
do they?
So,
But this one has been conquered by the Empire.
Yeah, and to the point where we got Lando and Chewie, R2, 3PO, and the aforementioned Monet here flying to this planet because they're trying to track down this rebel pilot that's been missing for issues and issues at this point.
I was going to say, lest we forget, for those who haven't been following this story, and even if you have and are like me and pretty much forget these issues as soon as they're over, they are tracking rebel pilots that crashed here, and specifically they are looking for the droid of one of these pilots that has information. We don't know what this information is still.
But it's important to the rebellion. That's all we know.
It's very important. They're more important than finding Han Solo, because that has derailed them from the actual mission. And so they have to get to this other planet, and so they go. Lando goes because Luke and Leia are too well known as rebel. You would think at this point Lando would be pretty.
I mean, we'll get to it. He is.
Yeah, right. I did think and Chewbacca. I mean, and 3B, and they're flying the Millennium Falcon, they tried anyway. Let's get into it. So
Millennium Falcon, the ship that famously shot down Darth Vader during the original Death Star battle.
But I like that Lando says this here. He's like, well, the plan is have Monet give say he's operating it, which will somehow fool them into thinking maybe it's the same ship, but a different guy is in charge. So maybe none of this is good tactical work from Lando.
Yeah, well, Lando's doing a little bit of Han Solo here, as much as he doesn't want to admit it, of flying by the seat of his pants with this whole plan. I
will say, once again, to Mary Jo Duffy's credit, though it doesn't work at all, I do like that she actually gets into the differences between Han Solo and Lando in this.
Sure, yeah, because a lot of times, especially in this book, they can be written as basically interchangeably.
Because Han Solo is a gunslinger cowboy type, and Lando is a con man.
Yeah.
Those are, Han is quick to shoot first, ask questions later. Lando is if I have to resort to a blaster, it's because every other plan I have failed.
And obviously there's a Venn diagram of an overlap in their skill sets, but of course Lando is much more the smooth talker than Han is.
Oh, yeah. Time and time again, Han has proved not to be that guy at all. And it's just fuck, I gotta shoot everybody.
But as they're landing, Monet is like, this place is terrible. And Lando's like, yeah, this is what the Empire does.
Agreed. Yeah, just dude, this is what we're trying to stop.
Yeah. There's an under-the-breath conversation of just this is what the rebellion is all about, is stopping this. Now please shut up about it.
I'm fascinated, as always in this comic, and perhaps, but we need something to talk about. I was going to say, perhaps to the detriment of enjoying it, but we need something to talk about on the show. Time is always a big question I have in this comic. Because Monet has this whole thing about, my God, this place is completely different from when I was last here. How long has it been since he's been here, and how long has it been since the Empire has taken control? Because he implies they basically, almost rebuilt the city.
Or he definitely for sure says they've stripped this place of organic material and turned it into basically a giant machine.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's where he's just I can't even help you. This no longer even looks like anything that I remember. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I just have questions about has it been 20? How old is this guy? Because he's supposed to be younger.
Oh,
and the Empire could move. No. I know, but we have to talk about something.
Especially in this book where the assumption that the Empire has been around for a lot longer than I think the timeline will eventually clarify.
There's always, yeah. The Star Wars timeline is very up in the air at this point.
Sure. Yeah.
It's so solid now.
If you told people back then, oh yeah, Empire's only been around for 20 years, they'd be like, oh, come on, no way.
There are still people, and I maybe do a podcast with one of them, who is still upset that was decided and thinks it makes no sense.
Yeah, there's no way a fascistic regime could rise to power that quickly.
Yeah. I think it makes sense if you watch the prequels, but you know what? To each their own.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so there is that sort of thing about like, but once it, my issue is not with my issue is more with how old this guy is than how fast the Empire took over. They're
Yeah,
like
but
how
we
long.
also know that the Iskalonians are like very, very naive, I guess is the word I would use. They really don't think that things can turn this bad this quick. And they think that
This is
about
true.
basically everything.
Because I mean, that is sort of the point of this, right? As we talk about it, it's just like Lando being like, "Yeah, man, that's what's at stake."
Yeah, exactly.
But I also like that this guy made a big deal about coming here in the last issue, and now immediately gets there and is like, "Oh, I can't help it all."
Right. And it gets even worse because Lando starts talking about like, okay, we're going to sneak in here. I'm going to do a little subterfuge. That's how we'll find out where Tay Vanis is and maybe his droid. And Monet is like pretty confused by the whole concept of lying your way into a place.
What is this subterfuge and deception you speak of?
3PO is also like, oh, by the way, we're also looking for the droid. Don't forget. And Lando, I do kind of love this bit where Lando's like, okay, 3PO, you and R2 take care of finding the droid. And 3PO being like, oh, no. Don't tell R2 to do it. He can't be trusted.
And R2 will, spoiler, go off on his own adventure. 3PO's kind of right.
He's
a loose
wrong.
cannon. Yeah, he's a total loose cannon.
R2, you need to turn in your badge and gun.
Yeah. You wrecked half the damn city, R2. But, yeah. So, oh my God. We're going to talk about Pirate Land?
Hell yeah, we're talking about Pirate Lando, because yeah, Lando ducks into an alley and is like, all right, time for a quick change. If I'm going to be pretending to be a scumbag, I got to look like a scumbag.
What I love is, okay, he puts on the cape. I'm like, mm-hmm. Then he puts on the eye patch. I'm like, ooh, interesting. What I'm not ready for is the beret. I was not prepared for the beret.
Yeah, he's talking about how he is going to pose as a scumbag, being like, I'm going to look for Tay Vanis. I'm going to pretend he owes me money or something. And I'm going to try to like smooth talk my way into this so that I can avoid any conflict. Meanwhile, R2's beeping and booping and hacking into some systems, but those are just happening on the side panels.
Whatever, R2, you go do you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's beeping and booping, and when he turned around with the little, I mean, this is the beret that Nicholson's Joker wears in the museum scene in Batman '89.
Yeah, suddenly Lando's a member of the French Resistance.
Yeah. I would have loved if instead of how they write him as like a blaxploitation character, if he had been like, I'm here to buy some droids.
Oh, yikes.
I mean, it couldn't be any more yikes than what's in here.
That's fair.
But this is where I like this, where he's like, Chewie, I know you don't understand any of this stuff, but look, I'm not Han Solo. Put in drawing of fan favorite character so that people keep buying this comic. And they'll do it later too in this issue, where it is just like, don't worry, kids, the characters you bought this for are still at least referenced.
But yeah, then he says, my plans involve secrecy, subtlety, subterfuge. And Monet says, I don't know what any of those things mean.
It is like, it's almost as if you are a major detriment to this operation.
So 3PO has to explain lying to this guy.
And I really do, and I really do like this, even though it is very silly. But like, hold on, Master Lando, I believe I can explain it to him like a sea creature. You see, Master Monet, and once again, my consistent thing about must he call everyone Master? What Master Lando means is that secrecy is like a dark cave that you've never entered, and subterfuge is a creature that doesn't move and looks harmless until its prey has moved in close.
And Mona's like, my God, people live like that?
Yeah. And Lando's like, oh yeah, pretty much everywhere except where you live. Like most people live with that 24/7.
That is sort of my whole deal.
Yeah. I've gotten a long way with that, my friend. Yeah.
It really raises the question about, like, Lando was introduced in this arc as the guy who knew all of the Iskalonians, like, really well. They considered him a friend. What lies did
Yeah.
Lando tell to earn that reputation?
Because apparently he could have said anything and they would have been like, uh-huh.
Exactly.
He was just like, oh, I'm going to do very well on this planet.
There's a reason that is the one planet where everyone isn't like, Lando Calrissian, he owes me 1,000 credits. It's more like,
And so
Lando
they're all like-
Calrissian, I gave him 1,000 credits.
Yeah. What a great guy. He really needed it. And I was so glad to help out. He had a whole story about his aunt who was sick. Oh, so sad. Is she doing all right? Oh, yeah. Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Anyway, so yeah, here comes Lando's big plan. Meanwhile, R2 has rolled off on his own and drawn the notice of some sort of Imperial officers, like, you there, Astro Droid.
Veep, 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 talk?
Oh, finished, huh? Well, get yourself over to shipping and unloading. They're short an inventory checker anyway. And the Stormtroopers is like, oh yeah, over there, buddy.
And R2's is like, yes, sir, and scoots up. R2 has seamlessly infiltrated this operation.
Not nary a question asked. In fact, it's so much later that somebody goes, hey, whose droid is that? It takes so long for someone to be like, does anyone recognize that droid?
Again, it's part of the we can't talk about droid status in Star Wars thing, but
No.
it as like second, third, fourth class citizens, question mark, or just property, most people aren't tracking droids that are coming and going.
No, and I think especially astromechs, right? Like the idea that they really are just, there's a million of them rolling about, and they're not upright like a protocol droid that has an immediately noticeable personality, at least. I know they have personalities. And once again, that adds to the weirdness that we don't talk about.
So, remember that Nazi bad guy who committed an atrocity last issue? Well, he's back. And he's got a name now.
Do I ever? Yeah. His name is Tower, right? Admiral
Tower. And this is one of the first in a beautiful lineage of Star Wars Imperial officers. This tradition would be upheld later in Rebels and then into Bad Batch of Imperial officers named after castle architecture.
Yes, there are a lot.
Yeah. So Admiral Tower is here, and he's being introduced to Drebel, whose friends call him Drebs.
Yo, my main man.
Drebel. Drebel, they call me. Drebs to my friends.
And he's putting his arm
it's
around
Lando getting smarmy with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, and he's playing a character that perhaps Billy D. Williams would have played in some sort of Jim Brown or Fred Williamson movie in the 1970s. But the way he slings his arm out, he goes, I mean, he might as well be like, let me rap at you, babe. Here's the thing, okay? Droids is my game. Well, actually, he just says, I'm into whatever you got, man. Droids, drugs. He specifies drugs and spice. Spice is kind of the only drug we ever talk about. Presumably, there are other drugs in the world of Star Wars. The aforementioned death sticks. Yeah. Yo, man, you got a shipment of death sticks lying around?
I think as of this point in Star Wars, it was a little unclear about what spice was.
It is true, because once again, we always talk about, like, it's only in retrospect that you're like, wait, was Han Solo smuggling drugs?
Yes.
Like, Han and Chewie were drug runners.
Yes.
And we're just supposed to be like, yeah, don't think about that too much, you know?
It's fine.
Move along.
They dropped all the drugs when the Imperials showed up. That's why Jabba the Hutt was so
true.
angry.
They're like, oh, yeah, well, it's actually okay, because technically those drugs never got where they were supposed to go. So don't worry, Han's still a hero, you guys. You're like, cool.
Great.
And then also, I think Poe Dameron was running Spice at some point, too.
Oh, we can't talk about the excessively complicated Poe Dameron backstory.
You mean that all is introduced in the third movie all of a sudden to give him a more Han Solo-esque backstory? I probably groaned out loud in the theater. Anyway, moving on. We're not allowed to talk about that.
Of the many issues with Rise of Skywalker, that is one of them.
Yeah, and that was a bit. We're just like, I'm sorry. Okay, anyway, once again, we're not allowed to talk about it.
No, I'll finish this off, John, because like right after that happens, we get introduced to Babu Frick, the one redeeming quality of that film.
Oh, Babu Frick, man.
Hey.
We stand Babu Frick. Yeah. The best thing that movie gave us. Anyway. So he's playing along like Tower seems like he's like, of course. Yeah, well, whatever you want, Drebel. Yeah, you seem like a guy we can do business with. Let me show you Darth Vader.
Yeah, because Lando says he's looking for Tay Vanis, and Tower says, "Oh, Tay Vanis, I know somebody else who is interested in finding Tay Vanis. Let me introduce you to my boss, Darth Vader." Don't worry, it's just a hologram.
Oh God! By the way, this is Vader hologram number 2 we've seen like somewhat recently.
I mean, look, if you don't have a Vader hologram, are you really an Imperial officer? You got to stare lovingly at it.
It's not good.
If I were an Imperial officer, I would keep a hologram of Vader around just to be like, hey, I know I'm bad, but it could be that guy.
Hey, remember this guy? Remember him? Not
How
great.
many corpses do we clean up of our own people on a weekly basis? 2, 3 at most? Would you like to triple, nay quadruple that number?
I can make that happen. One phone call. He'll be here in a day. But it is just like, how do we get Vader in the book?
Hologram.
Hologram, yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, hologram. Sure, yeah, okay.
But anyway, Admiral Towers is like, and I'm sure if you killed Tay Vanis and let me know about it, that would make Darth Vader very happy.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, sure thing, man.
Meanwhile, he asks after some droids, and Towers just like, oh, sure, all of our droids are for sale if they're on the work yard. Just let my officers know that I sent you, and go have a look around. Beat. They wait till they leave the room, and then he's just like,
what? Yeah. Anyway, just like the guy coming in, like, yeah. So those were obviously rebel spies. Like, yeah.
Yeah, we know. I believe Admiral Tower has a thought bubble here that says, what an appalling performance.
Like, at no point was he convinced about any of this. And the other guy just coming in and he's like, yeah, they're clearly rebel spies. Like, that's what I thought. Okay.
Did you see that eye patch and beret? There's no way.
By the way, those who have seen Star Trek Picard uses this exact same disguise at one point in the first season of that show.
Oh my God, he does.
But he does the French accent.
Whoa, that's when he goes and like finds 7 of 9, right?
Yep.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. He's playing like a scumbag criminal guy, and he puts on a beret and an eye patch and does a sort of voice because Patrick Stewart wanted to have fun.
And look, God bless him, but yikes.
I enjoyed it. It's quite silly, and I know there were some people who were like, "What have you done to this character?" But whatever. It's one episode. Anyway, yeah. I thought this the second you put that on, I'm like, I know this outfit from another space character. Anyway, yeah.
Cut to a bunch of Imperial officers standing above R2-D2.
This made me laugh more than anything in the comic, which is they're just like, man, that new droid is more efficient than anything we've ever. Not only is R2 infiltrated, he's also like improved efficiency here. He's
in
so
one day,
good.
He became Employee of the Month.
Holy shit! Like these guys just standing around going like, "Are you seeing what this guy's doing? Oh my God! Wow! I didn't know it was possible to have these kind of numbers."
Nice of them to finally figure out at headquarters that this detail's always shorthanded. I still haven't figured out who owns that R2 unit. Either of you know where it comes from? And one officer kind of pulling out his collar going, well, I've always been pleased with his performance.
Yeah, I like that they're like, this like, I don't know him. I don't know him. And the third guy's like, well, they don't know him. I mean, yeah, I always knew he's mine. You know, like, my chance. Don't blow it, Gary. Yeah, I thought that was funny. A
So
legitimately
Lando's asking around after the droid. They're looking for a K or an A3 unit. Or 3P series? What is it called? Yeah. Anything nice that is in the 3P series. You might say I collect them.
Right, because he can't. By the way, something I always bring up about Star Wars is no matter how much new Star Wars they make, there's always 70s in Star Wars, right? There's always, and this guy's sideburns and mustache are very 70s. This Imperial officer,
absolutely love it.
This guy's an extra in a Burt Reynolds movie, man. You know, and
this is an English day player they found in the casting couches of London.
Yeah, that guy asked that in a Hammer movie at some point. Okay, so they go like, he's like, well, I got this and that. Oh yeah, and that K3PX unit over there. And Lando's like, oh yeah, that's a good droid right there. I'll take it. Because of course that's
because this is the droid we're looking for. Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
So rarely are these the droids you're looking for, but in this one case, it is.
In this case, it's the one time it was the droids they were looking for. Okay, so yeah, he's like, okay. Yeah, he goes, write me up a bill of sale. He's like, hey, you droid, come over here. Come here.
And the droid, seemingly nonplussed, says, when Lando asks, like, do you belong to Dave Vanis, right? And Droid's like, yes.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, man, yeah, keep it cool, but I'm with the rebellion, and we need the information you have.
The droid says, I have nothing to say to you.
Yeah. Until he's like, hey, man, I'm here with, with Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker. And immediately this guy's like, Skywalker?
Luke Skywalker?
No. Ronald Skywalker. Anyway, on mention of Luke, let's cut back to him.
I do want to pause really quickly on this droid. Because, again, start asking questions about droids is a rabbit hole we may never get out of. But it doesn't occur
I just want it noted, you are opening this up, so go ahead.
I know. But it does not occur to Lando or Chewie or 3PO, who has talked about having his memories erased before, that this droid could not have been reprogrammed at this point.
Yeah, that's actually, that's a really good point.
Anyway, back to Iskalon.
Yeah. They are just the idea that he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about, that he just keeps going like, yeah, shut up, man, of course you do. But it's like, no, he may actually not know what you're talking about.
Right. But then gets really interested when you say Skywalker.
Skywalker? Oh, wait a minute. Anyway, totally Luke is still facing off with his merman double.
And that double uses his pointy stick thing to slash at the breathing apparatus that Leia's wearing. And, now the two humans are underwater and drowning.
That's bad. And that he swims out. Then Luke and Leia swim out. And then Luke very quickly puts together going, oh, he wasn't trying to murder us.
Because if he was actually trying to murder us, he would have. All he's really doing is forcing us to go up as opposed to following Kendall.
And that he cut off the air tank because it would have prevented them from swimming out through the small opening of this. Great. Okay.
So they get out of the building and they're going up and...
Never mind. He's our best friend.
Luke is taking it slowly, though, because he doesn't want them to get the bends.
Yes. Which is just valid, but also just like a weird thing to hear people talk about in Star Wars. I don't know.
Well, it's again one of those things where this whole sequence of frames clearly shows us what is happening, but it's Luke who's worrying about pressure differentials in his own thought bubbles.
Yeah. Just not what you expect when you pick up a Star Wars comic.
Yeah,
because I
but
don't
anyway.
mind. I like the drawing that is the same, like static frame as they just go up and up and up and they turn into a little. That's good.
Yeah.
As they follow the air bubble. And once again, the art is very clean and clear. They're following the air bubbles up. Good stuff.
And when on the
Anyway,
next page they break the surface and there's a double gasp and they get up and out.
also, does Luke's hair get way longer?
Well, it's wet, so it's weighed down.
I guess that's the idea, but like just the way it looks is a little crazy to me.
All that salt water is terrible. Do you know what kind of product Luke uses to keep that perfect coif all the time?
Do you have any idea what I spend on mousse every month? You have no idea, Leia. You have no idea what it takes to keep these luxurious locks. And he's charging it to the rebellion, though. That's the problem.
So they make it to not land, but like the floating wreckage that is on the surface of the water here on Iskalon. That is the remnants of Pavilion. And we cut back in this last panel to see that like there are survivors, but there's also a lot of dead people.
A lot of dead people. Yeah, it didn't go well. It's bad news on the surface. I do like at a certain point here when we turn the page, because we see that there's some people on there. You see like some bodies there, one hand, but when we turn the page, just the floating body of this green guy being like,
yeah,
he's
there's some dead fish people in the water. It's gross. It is like
appropriate to Star Wars. They are like, oh yeah, showing atrocities committed by the Empire.
And who's one of the dead bodies in the water? Why, it's Primor. It's Monet's dad, the leader of this place. He's dead.
Man, don't like that.
Yeah, so Luke is putting together here, though, that, like, clearly this is the Empire, but there were stormtroopers and, like, Imperials here, too. Lots of innocent mermen.
They say mermen.
Luke or Leia says mermen here. And
actually says mermen, and it really, I was like, what?
Maybe that's just a general term for people that live underwater, I guess.
I mean, it once again, it's just always that thing of like, that is asking me to put the Earth mythology, mythological idea of mermaids, mermen, mer people, onto a Star Wars thing. It's just always weird when they call out things that are expressly our world, like mythology.
Yeah, it'd be like if there was a unicorn in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we're very forgiving of a crate dragon.
Yeah, that's true. This is true. I don't know. I you know what? It's a case by case basis, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know.
But it would be really weird if a leprechaun suddenly showed up.
Very weird. But a leprechaun type thing that they called something else could show up, and you'd be like, same thing with like a merman. You can have these fish people, but the second you call them mermen, you're like, wait a minute. But if they were just called like mermanians or even something like that, I would be like lazy, but okay.
Like those cat humans we saw in that one annual that were just called cathumans.
That was truly like, we've reached the bottom of the barrel, you guys.
But Luke is putting together that this whole assault, like all of this death and destruction, all this collateral damage was totally justified in the eyes of the Empire, just to take out a couple of rebel targets, i.e. the two of them.
It's almost like the Empire sucks real bad. I'm so glad we're fighting a war against them. They really have it coming. But
Leia raises a good question, which is like, but our assignment here was totally last minute. How could the Empire possibly have known we were going to be here? Cough, spies, cough.
Yeah, we must have been betrayed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's when they find the body of Primor. He's full corpse. I don't know how. He's dead.
I mean, yeah, you've got Leia being like, is he? And Luke's like, yeah, they got him. They got your boy. And it's sad. I mean, kind of. We didn't know him super well, but he seemed like a good guy.
But he was watching while we were trying to rescue Kendall. And what's this? Hey, it's Kendall right here.
Hey, Kendall. All right. And she's just like, oh no, my father-in-law has died. And for me, of all people? Interesting reaction.
Well, she says, not my she says, not for my sake. So it's like,
Yeah.
he died being in the attempt to rescue her, right? Because he was like hanging out outside and keeping an eye on her.
Yeah, I based on what we saw, though, I feel like he even if you weren't trying to rescue Kendall, odds are you were going to die.
Yeah, but anyway, she's weeping over his body, and Leia is leaning into Luke, being like, "Oh, I feel so responsible for all this."
And then this guy Kiro shows up and is like, "What you crying for? You're the reason this happened."
Yeah, so that yellow guy we talked about, his name is Kiro. He shows up now. He's got a water helmet on. He's coming up out of the water, pointy sword stick in hand, and he's going after Kendall. And Luke's like, hold on, buddy.
Yeah. And he's just like, no, man. Because, Luke's like, what's up? And he's just like, hey, okay. This is the worst piece of writing from Mary Jo Duffy to me. Luke says, just what do you think you're going to do with that? He responds, just what do you think you're doing? Get out of my way. Not great.
Yeah.
They both say, just what do you think?
And Luke is like, I'm not going to let you just kill this woman. What's going on?
And he's like, what do you mean? She's obviously the traitor.
Because his line,
she's responsible for all this. Think about
Hero's
it, man.
dialogue here says, why do you keep protecting her? I'd have killed her before, except that Kendall and I smashed each other's tanks in Pavilion while we struggled. And while I went to get more water so I wouldn't suffocate along with the traitoress, you helped her.
Mm-hmm. So
Kiro is under the impression that Kendall is a traitor, offering zero evidence to that fact.
Yeah. But just because he's more just going like, think about it, man. Put the pieces together.
I mean, Leia even says, what's Kendall done to warrant all this animosity? And Kiro's response is, look around you.
Yes. Open your eyes, princess. Okay. It all adds up.
But Kiro comes back with, she's the one who told Admiral Tower that you two were still here.
Yes.
Which we know isn't true, though, because we saw the helicopter pilot do it last issue.
That's we saw that Airwolf extra literally drop a dime on them.
But Kiro says, I heard her send the message, which
he
guess. Didn't. Now that I'm thinking, though, in the last issue, we just saw that helicopter pilot just sort of scuttling away, and when we actually saw the dialogue bubble sending that message, we didn't see who the bubble went to, I suppose. He was in a submarine.
Yeah, I mean, this is true, but any kind of logical visual storytelling would tell us that is the same guy, right?
But apparently this issue, or at least this character, is having us doubt those assumptions.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about where this is going. And I think but don't tell me, obviously.
But anyway, his statement is a little bit backed up by the fact that Leia says, oh no, Kiro says, what's wrong? And Luke says, well, if they know we were here, we just sent 5 of our friends to that planet.
I think we just got our friends killed.
Cut to a prison cell containing Lando, Chewbacca, 3PO, and Monet.
Yeah. Monet, who, though still has the helmet on, straight up looks mouth agape dead. I mean, they all look kind of dead, actually. But,
yeah, a little bit. But, boy, I love the just hard cut to that image, and then the name of the next issue just really emphasizing who's missing from this picture.
I love R2 stands alone. Fuck yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Some Splinter Cell ass R2-D2 mission next issue.
Yeah. Nice.
R2-D2 is going to have to go full Metal Gear Solid on this bitch.
Oh, I can't wait to see him hide under a box.
That is a thing that, oh my god, that is literally a thing that, what's the little ball droid's name?
What, BB-8?
BB-8, that literally does that in The Last Jedi.
He does, yeah. He did pull from the Solid Snake, playbook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, next issue, R2 stands alone.
The
We're
last
in some.
stand of R2D2.
I want R2D2 on like a mountain of corpses with a battle axe.
Well, you just want that image of the Executioner's last stand. Give me Walt Simonson drawing R2,
Yeah.
and just everyone's coming at him, and he's mowing them down.
The last stand of R2D2 on the bridge of Gallobrew in the land of the dead.
Fuck yeah, that is metal as hell. Well, there you have it. Another, it's a mixed bag of an issue, as a lot of them are.
So, John, we're kind of like midway through this story now.
Yeah.
What are your feelings vis-a-vis this era of Star Wars versus in the like single issue, like just get it out of the way, fill in story versus these like longer issue arcs?
I mean, I will say the single issue fill in stories are a little bit easier to like digest and talk about because they're one and done and you don't have to think about them anymore. And I will say these have been hit and miss. Some of them have warranted being ongoing stories. Some of them have been like, man, they're really treading water. I think this one's better. I think in general, this
even
has
though
been
they're literally treading water in this one.
Yeah, interesting, right? I will say though, I'm very curious how they turn up this whole Kendall is a traitor thing. Because that really feels like it came out of nowhere and I'm not following it. Like, what?
It felt like a thing like you needed to introduce something at the end of the issue that made you go, what?
Yeah, that's the thing is I feel like it needed one more piece of evidence that would at least make us go like, maybe. Because instead I'm like, Luke and Leia are just like, this guy has said it very emphatically. It must be true. Or at least possible. Because this guy is just like, I'm telling you. If, like, Leia had heard her send the message, instead of this guy saying, I heard them send the message, because maybe this guy's lying. They don't know this guy.
Yeah, we're also dealing with some dramatic irony here, because Luke is saying, like, oh no, we sent 5 of our friends to Gamondar. Like,
right.
And we, the comic book reader, cut to them in a prison cell, but Luke and Leia have no way of knowing that they've already been detained.
Correct.
So, I don't know. Because
I do not know.
She sent 5 of our friends on a mission to Gamondar. That wasn't her choice to not send Luke and Leia.
Yeah, by the way, to just skirt, blame Luke.
Yeah.
Hey, man, she did that. Remember how she did that? Her all by herself?
We will get some answers in the next issue.
Some answers may follow. But in the meantime, we've got plenty more for you to check out over at our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/punchupent. Once again, that's patreon.com/punchupent. Get cool exclusive bonus content and help all the shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network. Lots of fun, exciting stuff coming your way.
Absolutely. Another way you can help support us is over on YouTube, youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. There you can watch along with this show. You want to see some of the cool art we were describing? You can do that over on YouTube. And while you're there, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments below, what is your favorite issue of a comic book with 0 written words in it? Outside of sound effects. We don't count sound effects. We like a good crack-a-thum, even if no one's talking.
Well, sometimes you just got to crack a thum,
Sometimes you got to crack a thum.
But yeah,
I think that is going to do it for us this week. As always, I have been Mike Gergoni.
I'm John Campbell.
And remember, may the panel be with you.